Something shifts in you. Not overnight, gradually. You stop checking if they saw your message. Stop wondering why they didn't invite you. Stop making yourself smaller so they feel bigger. And the weirdest part? You don't even feel bad about it. This isn't a villain origin story. It's what happens when your survival instincts finally overrule your people-pleasing programming. Let me paint a picture of your last 3 years. You showed up to their housewarming with a gift. They forgot your birthday existed. You listened to them complain about their job for 6 months straight. When you got laid off, they sent the thumbs up emoji and changed the subject. You drove 2 hours in traffic because they were going through it. When your parent was hospitalized, they replied 3 days later with, "Ugh, hospitals are the worst." At some point, your brain started keeping receipts. Not because you wanted to be petty, because it was trying to show you something important. The evidence was overwhelming. This wasn't friendship, it was volunteer work. Your brain's intervention. Think of your brain as your personal security guard. It's been watching these interactions, taking notes, running risk assessments, and after enough data points, it pulls you aside and says, "Hey, we need to talk about these people." It's not being dramatic, it's being strategic. Every relationship that imploded taught your nervous system something. This is what happens when we trust. This is what happens when we're honest. This is what happens when we need support. Your brain's entire job is keeping you alive and minimizing harm, and it realized something crucial. These people are a liability, not an asset. So it started pulling the emergency brake, making you too tired to respond, making social events feel exhausting, making your phone feel like a brick you don't want to pick up. You weren't being antisocial. Your brain was staging an intervention. The childhood blueprint. But let's rewind even further. Remember being 7 years old and learning that crying made people annoyed, that asking for help made you needy, that having emotions made adults uncomfortable? Maybe you grew up in a house where love came with conditions and scorecards. Your achievements mattered more than your feelings. "I'm fine" became your default answer because nobody really wanted the truth. You learned to fix your own problems because asking meant being a burden. Or maybe your family wasn't even overtly neglectful. Maybe they just weren't curious about you. They fed you, clothed you, sent you to school, but never asked what actually scared you or excited you or kept you up at night. You became self-sufficient because you had to. And that 7-year-old is still inside you, making sure you never depend on anyone who might disappear. Fortress versus filter. Everyone keeps saying you've isolated yourself, that you're too guarded, that you need to let people in, but they've got it backwards. You haven't locked everyone out, you've raised your standards. There's a difference between being closed and being discerning. Think of it like this. You used to leave your door wide open, and people treated your home like a public bathroom. Came in, made a mess, and left. Now you've installed a doorbell and started asking, "Who is it?" before answering. That's not isolation. That's having a door policy. The people mad about it, they're the ones who benefited from unlimited access. The ones who could show up at 11 p.m. demanding emotional labor and you'd provide it, no questions asked. Your new boundaries don't keep out everyone, just the takers, the users, the ones who see you as a resource instead of a person. The instant read. You've developed what I call the instant read. New person enters your life, and within one lunch, one coffee, one phone call, you already know. Type 1, the broadcaster. They monologue about themselves for 45 minutes, then go, "Anyway, enough about me," and immediately launch into another story about themselves. They don't ask questions, they perform. Type 2, the crisis magnet. Every interaction is an emergency. They text, "Can we talk? It's urgent," about things that happened 3 weeks ago. But when you have an actual crisis, "Sorry, dealing with my own stuff right now." Type 3, the ghoster with excuses. Masters of, "Sorry, I'm terrible at keeping in touch," as if being bad at friendship is a personality quirk instead of a choice. They'll say they valued you while proving the opposite. Type 4, the fair weather friend. Around when you're fun, successful, or useful. Mysteriously busy when you're struggling, sick, or just need someone to sit with you in silence. You're not judging, you're just fluent in the language now. You can decode what "let's grab coffee sometime" actually means. What "you're so strong" often translates to "please don't need anything from me." The experiment. So you ran a test. Social science experiment. Population, your entire contact list. The method? Stop initiating. Stop chasing. Stop being the glue. The hypothesis? Real friends will notice. Real friends will reach out. The results? 90% of your relationships evaporated like they were never real to begin with. That group chat you kept alive single-handedly? Dead silent without you. That friend who meant so much to you hasn't texted in 4 months. That family member who said you were like a daughter or son to them. Radio silence. The experiment confirmed what you suspected. You weren't in mutual relationships. You were the power source, and when you unplugged, the whole thing died. And that hurt, but it also clarified everything. The paradox. People look at you now and think you're lonely. They're wrong. The loneliest version of you was 3 years ago, surrounded by people, yet completely unseen, laughing at parties while feeling like a hologram, in a relationship but emotionally abandoned, part of 12 group chats but unable to say, "I'm not okay" in any of them. You were drowning in a crowd. Now you're alone, but it's different. It's intentional. It's chosen. Nobody's pretending to care while proving they don't. Nobody's making promises they won't keep. The space you've created isn't empty. It's spacious. It's the room you need to heal, to remember who you are when you're not performing for an audience that doesn't appreciate the show. This isn't the end of your story. It's the end of a chapter that should have ended a long time ago. Can I tell you what changed? Your nervous system finally relaxed. No more hypervigilance about whether your text sounded weird, if they're mad because they took 6 hours to respond, what you said wrong that made them ice you out, why you always feel like you're auditioning for their friendship. Your stress levels dropped, your sleep improved, that constant low-level anxiety about being too much or not enough, gone. You thought cutting people off would devastate you. Instead, it was like finally setting down a backpack of rocks you didn't know you were carrying. The silence isn't empty, it's spacious. There's room to breathe now. You're not hiding from connection, you're refusing the counterfeit version. Self-interest isn't selfish. Here's what you figured out. Prioritizing yourself isn't narcissism, it's basic maintenance. You spent years being the unpaid therapist, the emotional recycling center for other people's trauma, the person who gave unlimited chances to people who never changed. And you were running on fumes, resentful, exhausted, wondering why you felt empty after giving so much. Because you can't pour from an empty cup, and everyone was holding you upside down trying to get the last drops. So you stopped. Not because you're heartless, because you finally understood that your well-being matters too. Will you trust people again? Probably. When you're ready. When someone earns it. Maybe you'll meet someone who texts back within a reasonable time, not because they have to, but because they want to. Who remembers what you told them 2 months ago. Who checks in when you go quiet, not because they need something, but because they noticed. Who shows up when things are messy, not just when life is Instagram ready. That person might exist, but right now you're not gambling your peace on might. You're protecting the part of you that still wants to believe people can be good. And the only way to keep that hope alive is to stop wasting it on people who keep proving otherwise. Stepping back from everyone isn't about punishing them. It's about respecting yourself. It's recognizing that you've been accepting treatment you'd never tolerate someone giving to a person you love. You're not bitter. You're boundaried. You're not cold. You're conserving energy. You're not giving up on people, you're giving up on forcing connections that don't flow naturally. The space you've created isn't empty, it's potential. It's the room you need to heal, to remember who you are when you're not performing for an audience that doesn't appreciate the show. This isn't the end of your story, it's the end of a chapter that should have ended a long time ago. If this resonates, there's more where this came from. This channel exists to help you understand your own patterns without judgment. Subscribe if you're tired of content that tells you you're broken. You're not broken, you're adapting. Let's explore that together.